We're ready.
Good afternoon. Thank you everyone for being here. Today's September 8th, 2025, Urban Forestry Board. Call to order and roll call.
Chair Burke.
Here.
Vice Chair Kohler.
Here.
Board Member Phelps.
Here.
Board Member Tinsley.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have quorum.
Can I get an approval of the agenda?
Yeah, I read through it and didn't see any changes.
I didn't see, you had the eagle eye, did you see
Yeah.
anything?
Well, only that it's too late for this meeting, but we had talked about adding, to this meeting, the final review from our urban forestry management plan, so maybe that should be on next
next
month's
one.
agenda.
Pages 30 to 37.
Mhm. Other than that, looks good.
Need a motion?
I move we approve the agenda for September 8th. I second that motion.
I am.
All approved?
Yes?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Opposed?
Motion passes.
That's a new one on there. I haven't had that.
It's gonna take some getting used to.
Can we get an approval for the July 14th minutes?
I make a motion to approve the July 14th, 2025 Urban Forestry Board meeting minutes.
A second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
So,
It's on.
oh, it's on.
Number 4, visitor communications. Is there any visitors here with anything?
There are no visitor communications.
No visitor communications. Moving ahead to board business. Board business A 69013 Camp Polk Road, suitability for preservation.
Yeah, so these trees were identified as part of a multi-use path project. We requested that Avery take a look at them. He did provide 2 reports based on the clusters of species. After the agenda and packet was distributed, we noticed that it wasn't determined if the placement of the junipers would interfere with the path. So at the moment, we're just looking for removal of the Norway spruce, but we may come back for removal of the junipers if their exact location interferes with the location of the path.
They're pretty much neglected, aren't they? Conklin's, I remember going there when that was a guest house and it was well maintained and there were weddings there and a number of things, and those trees were well maintained. And you know, the fence has been broken for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years there. It's just going to rack and ruin. There was a proposal to put an RV place in there. Is that pending or was that denied or?
I haven't heard any updates on that project for some
Okay.
time.
Cause maybe they would want to save them and try to put a sidewalk, you know, I was looking, the trees are pretty much where the sidewalk is on both ends, to the north and to the south. And, you know, like I say, the fence is pretty much shot.
Yeah, and the fence is actually about 6 feet into the right of way in some places, so the fence is not true to the property line. You will note in there's a diagram
Right,
of the path kind of showing where that property line is actually behind this Norway spruces, so they're in the public right of way.
between the trees and the house.
Just the fence.
The series of, I believe it's 6 Norway spruces are in the right of way, and just behind them is the property line.
What is the right of way at this site? Is it 30?
I can look that up, but I don't have the exact width of this Camp Polk there.
Yeah, but regardless of the property, they're within the right of way, and the pedestrian pathway as proposed would disrupt their root system. And according to the the forester's evaluation, they'd probably not survive it, and there's low suitability for preservation given the current condition that they're in anyway. They were heavily irrigated and they're non-native and struggling already and probably not likely to improve with the pedestrian path, so.
There are other trees down where the alcohol, whatever that, next door to the north, and they have trees planted there. And they look very nice as a rock, retaining or, irrigation, whatever. And, you could do something like that and put
Sure.
in those kind of trees along there, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know if would we put them in, or would that be the responsibility of the people that own that family that owns the Conklins?
I can't say. That'd probably be something that would come out of development
Okay,
decisions from the community development department.
yeah, there used to be some nice looking trees there, but they look pretty scraggly now.
Yeah,
And-
Google Street View from 10 years ago shows them in decent shape with their.
And it
Mark
had
on it.
irrigation, I guess, at one time, or was being watered, and it's just been left
Yeah,
abandoned. So,
we need to decide a motion to like approve the removal of them or to
Well,
do
or,
it
you
by
know,
alternative.
I thought of taking out every other one. I mean, Avery's report says the species is known to have low tolerance to root loss from construction damage, so that's a vote in favor of just taking them all out. But as you drive down that road, it is really nice to see some big tall trees right there. Even though, if you look closely, they do not look very healthy. So, piggybacking on what Robert said, I would hope that somehow there will be some significant trees planted. I guess there's no room on the street side, but on the other side, but we just don't know if, at this point, who would control that decision and when it would be implemented.
Yeah, the typical spacing, I think, for street trees is about every 35 feet. But it's not a topic I'm very familiar with acquiring developments. So that's typically what we see.
Do you know the approximate timing of when this path is gonna be created?
Possibly a winter, spring, I think we were looking at. Soon.
This soon? Okay.
We're going through preliminary design at the moment. That's where you get that site plan from.
does that go through our parks board, or is that just the city itself?
Just the
Okay,
city.
it's not considered a park or, it's just.
Part of our pedestrian network.
Are we able to give a recommendation of putting street trees along the walkway there, or does that fall on the private property?
I don't know if the urban forestry board has any sway over that.
Mhm.
Gotcha. I know we've given recommendations on the replanting of certain amount of trees. I'm not sure if we could. I like having some of those along there. Been driving by it for 30 years.
I'm happy to look into that matter and report back to the board.
But yeah, if we could eliminate those trees, I see the purpose in that, but if we could put back some street trees abiding by every 35 feet would be nice to do that along there.
Mhm. I agree.
Yeah, I think so.
So can we make a motion that says we move to remove these trees and recommend that the city immediately get street trees planted every 35 feet or whatever the regulation is now?
Street trees are planted at the time of development. So whenever that property did get developed, if it was determined they needed to plant street trees, they would be planting them at that time.
There's no irrigation currently in the right of way accommodates basically a pathway and not a lot of room for any additional trees.
You often see street trees being okayed for planting on the private property, up
Mhm.
against the property line. You'll see that in some of developments where there's no growing strip between the sidewalk and the road.
Yeah.
The other pathway there by the distillery. I'm trying to remember, I think there's rocks, then the trees, and then the pathway. I think that's the way, but the rock is only about maybe 2 feet wide. But it's gonna give some kind of irrigation or rain irrigation or whatever running off the highway. It's gonna get something there. For whatever they're planting, and they look healthy, those trees, but they're not spruce, they're some kind of deciduous.
Yeah.
So in general, we don't, I can't give a recommendation for a street trees along that, cause it's really not in our jurisdiction or in our authority.
Yeah,
So we'll just keep it to these 6 trees, and hopefully down the road, when people look at that, they'll put street trees along the walkway there. Like to make is there any?
Okay, that's fine.
Someone like to make a motion to remove the 6 trees?
I'll move that the 6 Norway spruce trees be removed as per Avery McChristian's recommendation at 69013 Camp Polk.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Now, those they really look nice there, that place used to look
Once
so
upon a-
nice,
Once upon a time.
you know, and they've just let it go. Yeah.
It's kind of a similar, it reminds me of a different property when we were thinking about Arbor Day and planting trees in some of the different locations, and there's commercial property that has sold but undeveloped, and being considered about potentially placing trees that could obstruct future development. You know, it's like these trees are there now. Who knows what's to come with the property and what decisions
Yeah.
they might make, but
We're taking those ones out to the north, I mean, to the south by the creek for the path there, and I think this is just the same kind of decision
yeah.
to, you know, if we want to have those paths and people use those. When I
Yeah.
drive up and down, you know, Camp Polk and Wilt or Locust or whatever street it is.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people walking there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and older people walking along from the old home, whatever you call it, what do you call it?
lunch.
Yeah, yes, the old folks establishment.
Here moving to board business B, Creekside.
I'll be right with you.
Creekside Drive, Ponderosa has a declining top. And next to the mailboxes.
Yeah, so earlier in August, member city council reached out to myself and Jackson. So there was the Ponderosa in question with the declining top. I went out there to verify that it was indeed on city property in the right of way there on the east side of Creekside Drive. It's near the mailbox cluster. And then after confirming it was on city property, we sent Avery out there to give an assessment, some recommendations.
There's a lot of trees that have seen die off this year, I think, more than usual. Just my observation, you know, along the highways and a lot of dead tops and more than I normally would see. I don't know if you've seen that, Avery, but
I have more history here than me. I've been through years in this area, so hard for me to give a good opinion on that.
But could be true. I mean, it's not an outrageous observation given just beetles have better years for them, given weather and so forth. And
Yeah.
so maybe this is More indicative of their success in other years, less so.
So I would observe that this tree with, that's showing decline, the rest of the tree looks pretty decent, and it looks like it has a decent amount of space all around it, unlike many
Mm.
city trees,
Mm.
city condos. So I'm wondering if we could consider just topping it. I mean, worst case, it continues to die, and then a year from now, it's a foregone conclusion, we have to take it down. Cause it's,
Yeah.
if you don't look at the very top, it looks pretty
Yeah.
decent.
The trunk or bowl underneath the top there, how did it look? You were using binoculars, right?
Just look at the top.
Yeah, I think that's a decent observation. I mean, there's possibility to do it. Some of the reasons that I considered in this particular situation was how close it is to the adjacent property and to the mailbox as well. Um, I didn't get the feeling that we might have success on that, but that's kind of just a personal take on looking at that tree. It's possible it could survive that type of pruning, and if we waited until the end of September to do that, we'd have less likelihood of inviting more beetles into the tree. You know, their flight season will be over by the end of September. Which was, I also made a note at the end of this report that the neighboring property owner, it seems like they had their trees pruned midsummer. And that kind of thing can attract beetle activity.
Oh.
The same thing also happened here at Sisters Woodlands over the last month or so. There's a lot of brush still on the ground, which, you know, my understanding is that invites more beetle activity. So trying to.
Is there negative effect on taking off those dead lower branches?
Typically, no, I wouldn't think removing dead wood's usually encouraged.
I mean, for aesthetic looking, you know, you've got all these old dead ones, and I know some people like to trim them up, and I don't think they're a fire hazard where they are now, but I was just curious about,
Yeah, removing dead branches is usually a good recommendation.
you know, and it might make it look a little better if we took the top off and then trimmed up the lower trunk and then see what it does. See, because it would, like you say, it will take another year, another winter, and then summer to see what it's doing or how it's faring.
Well,
We'll know next year.
something else to consider, like big picture, it's ideally we keep trees healthy enough that they don't get infested with beetles. When we do preserve trees, in the case that we looked at on the creek last couple months ago, the remnant value of that tree with the top removed still remains pretty high. It's also kind of alone there on the creek, well within city management. And so if we're to retain a tree that may continue to have an infestation of beetles, it's important that we recognize that, you know, that tree could become a source of more beetles the following year. In the case of the tree on the creek, my feeling was that would be an acceptable balance there. With this tree, if we have more trees consistently where we're thinking, you know, because it's difficult to tell, they'll inhabit, the Ips beetle can inhabit branches 6 inches in diameter and smaller typically, of which there are many still remaining on that tree. So it's important to consider that too. I think that you may preserve the majority of the beetles there, but you could also be harboring some existing infestation.
Yeah.
It's a difficult balance.
Does the homeowner whose backyard fence abut this tree, did that homeowner have any opinion on this matter? Has that homeowner voiced any concern?
I didn't speak with her.
I haven't spoken with that homeowner either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know about you guys, but I've lived by big trees and they become kind of part of your family. You look out the window and you see that big, beautiful trunk. And so,
I just wanted to add that property is not within city limits. The city line is literally along that fence where this tree is.
interesting. Okay.
Good comment.
What does that have?
You said it has blonding. Is that indicative of woodpeckers going in after bugs under the bark?
Correct.
And so it could be infested down lower if the blonding was down lower.
Yeah, and I'm not remembering whether or not the blind will go that,
The dead top.
but yeah, it's, it would be a little bit of a guess at that point. that-
Okay. Cause I was just thinking about them hopping over to that other tree right now.
Right.
And then there's another one right next to that and just, to be cautious.
If you guys recall, I don't even know what month it was, literally across the street from Creekside Drive right there was a large Ponderosa that the board had decided to remove. It had died similar to this one, and it was maybe, I mean, literally across the street, so this might be a ripple effect, I don't know, but I just wanted to bring
Yeah, that was.
if you guys remember
we
that
talked
one.
about that a couple of months ago, right? In January, February, something like that. Yeah, I just, and if we would top it, you would do it in October, when it starts to, the sap stops flowing, or,
Yeah, in this case, anytime outside of the flight season. Fine in my mouth.
yeah, it's a pretty tree for sure. Top's not gonna come back, is it?
No. As far as we know. Do you have an opinion?
Read this there.
I'm kind of torn 50-50 and just to take it down or to top it. But I think I could be swayed if the homeowner was like, yeah, get rid of it. It's good, that's good by me, but I think, a conversation and ask them, get their input on, cause it looks like it's in their backyard and that, from how that's facing, I'm sure that shades quite a bit of their backyard. So. The homeowner would be good with taking it down, then I think I would be good with taking all of it, but if they have any concern, I'd like to top it.
You've got those mailboxes right there, and that, if the wind comes up and that dead top there,
Yeah, I like the idea of cleaning up the tree with the dead branches
the dead branches.
to help from like the wind and them busting off and hitting somebody. So I like that idea.
And then we could look at it in a couple of months, maybe, or something like that. In October, November, that's next meeting, but.
It's a campground.
What was that?
At the Creekside campground, we're kind of following that process.
That's the one that's the one we topped, right?
We've topped and then it kind of has had a little bit of decline past the topping event, but it hasn't been in.
Gotcha.
Avery, do you think the kill on the top of this tree has been within this growing season?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty recent to me. There's still a lot of
Needles.
needles on the branches.
Okay.
Usually, and just reviewed one yesterday where usually you'll see a lot more needles start falling off and get pretty sparse. Maybe you have a little bit after the second year and 3 years down the line, having pretty much dead sticks, bark's falling.
You'll get some secondary branches coming up if it decides to continue growing, correct? Those limbs up at the top, they'll curve up, because they all think they're the top, right, or something like that.
Yeah,
And then it'll give them some kind of shape, and it won't be just this chopped off
Right.
top, but it'll take a couple years if it wants to continue growing. And
Yeah, I was just thinking that one of the campground is a little bit of a indicator that we're observing as well after it being topped, and this one is maybe in a similar situation. There's no guarantee, but it's at least helping us continue to make informed decisions. So we've got a couple points of observation in the general area of similar situations.
Well, all things considered, I would lean toward only topping it.
I think we have consensus.
Okay.
Yeah.
I so move that we top the tree, and then, maybe trim up the leaves or the limbs on the bottom and then see what it does. And see if it comes out of it a little bit and gains some shape to it. And if it continues to, continue to die off, then we take it out.
Sure.
If the motion could be restated,
So we need a little shorter motion.
Yeah, that's too much. It's rolling through my head here, so. Is that your motion or my motion? I don't remember. I motion that we take the top off the tree and that we, give the tree time to see if it'll heal a little.
Can I get a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on.
As a note, I would think if we did consult with the adjacent property owner, they were able to provide a little water to it. That kind of thing would help recovery.
How do we go about doing that, or who would we?
If possible.
trying to convince somebody outside of city limits to water a city tree, I don't know if they. be on
Do they
board
have,
with that.
do they have a lawn in the backyard?
I can't tell.
You know, if they had a lawn, the roots.
I mean, looking at aerial imagery, that tree is pretty much, in their front, right next to their front gate.
So it's either happening already, they're either irrigating and the tree's benefiting, or it's.
I don't,
Or not.
hard to say with aerial imagery, I don't know if they might be minimally irrigating their area, but I don't think they have anything over on that side.
It's up to us.
I think their driveway's kind of right on the other side of that fence.
Delegate bucket a day,
Halfway.
Monday, Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Okay. Moving on to other business. Staff updates?
Yeah, so, we do have a dead tree, as you're coming into town, just east of the roundabout. We're gonna be working with ODOT on, removing that tree. They'll provide traffic control and our arborist will be, removing that tree. On that note, we did, advertise an RFP for a new arborist. Arbor One reached their last extension with us. Of the two respondents, Arbor One came out on top. And so Arbor One is signed on with another contract with the city as our on-call arborist.
Nice.
It was a little too late to get to the packet, but we did notice, actually, Casey noticed some trees in the campground that were starting to decline. Avery did go out there. He just provided us with some staff reports. We will get those to you in the next meeting. There is one right by the host site, in between the hosts and the restroom, that is very large and very dead. We would like to remove that as an emergency removal. If the board is okay with that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, we're gonna get those reports to you in the next meeting and also see if we can get kind of a routine once over through the campground kind of before season and after season. Just so we can keep that campground green. Part of the trees in there are probably one of the big draws for that campground.
Yeah,
It's keeping it looking beautiful and safe for the campers.
yeah.
That'd be great.
Casey, do you have any updates?
No, I think so. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So I've talked with Avery a little bit about this, but driving into town before the roundabout, there's that big, beautiful granddad of a tree that now has barrels at the bottom of it. Looks like it's being irrigated a little bit and maybe some under pressure, some air is being pumped into the earth to aerate it. Can you talk about that? I know that's probably an ODOT tree, but
It is an ODOT tree. Per Avery's recommendation, we started providing some water to it. Those are the three 55-gallon barrels there. Out of each one is Netafim drip line. So that's slowly dripping over the course of a week. We're refilling it weekly, so we're getting as much water as we can to it. There was also the recommendation from Avery to I'm forgetting the term. Avery, could you please?
Pneumatic excavation
Yes.
or radial trenching. We could do to kind of improve the soil condition by, well, when you use a pneumatic excavator, you won't damage the roots rather than water or physical excavation. So you can aerate the soil and then add back worm castings, compost, biochar, things like that to the soil to bring some life back to that soil. Because you've probably seen around here when you develop and excavators turn, the ground kind of turns to moon dust. Not a lot of living, not a lot of life in the soil after that. So kind of trying to reinvigorate that soil would probably help that tree along, although it's had some significant impacts.
So is that part of the plan to introduce worm castings and?
That was my recommendation. We'll have to follow up.
Yeah, so I've been reaching out to folks for quotes on that, trying to wrap my head around exactly what it will take. I think it's gonna require some cooperation with ODOT, because that aerating of the soil is gonna create quite a bit of dust. So still doing some research on that, but that's what we'd like to do.
Great,
The
that's
tree,
wonderful news.
yeah, we're all watching that tree like, but so far so good, which is exciting because it's been a while and we'd probably see some stuff, but I'm nervous to talk about it at length anymore. I might. But the tree that you just referenced that is down the way from that bud, do we know if was that just impact from construction general, or do we know why that?
We have not
Evaluated
inspected it yet,
Yeah, okay, just curious.
but our interest was getting it done sooner than later,
Sure.
just to get it out of there if it was beetle infestation.
Mhm.
And just working with ODOT would push it along a little faster rather than just putting it all on ODOT.
Yeah, great.
Again, thinking back to that big tree, if there's anything
Mhm.
nearby, just try to get it out as fast as you can.
Yeah. Nice, okay.
Do we have any city forestry updates?
The only one that I had, I was thinking of, and I think we discussed it in the past, the Oregon Travel Information Council hosts the statewide
Oh, yeah.
heritage tree program. If we were, as a board or community, to submit a nomination by October, we would be able, those nominations will be reviewed, awarded about the time of Arbor Day this next year. So if we're a little bit ahead of the game here and we wanted to nominate, my thought was maybe the Creekside grove of trees as something that of statewide significance. Maybe there's other trees that you have in mind. It'd be a good time to kind of take that on as a task, see if we could get one submitted by October. It'd be a nice addition to the next year's Arbor Day if we were to have trees awarded here. And I think I've shared in the past, but it's the Oregon Travel Information Council. And they have a whole program there. There's actually a tree outside of Sisters that has some pretty cool videos and information associated with it on their website, if you wanted to check that out.
Okay.
But I think there's some trees in town worth considering for the beach. I think it would be kind of a feel-good thing mostly, but valuable.
Could we make a recommendation for that, for the grove of trees at the campground?
Yeah, you can recommend either a single tree or a grove. If you have history about the site or the trees or some significant person associated with the trees or some event, that helps kind of tying it all together. So this is not just a big tree, but it's a big tree that so-and-so, the governor had something to do with it or whatever, that helps. But I think also just the trees reaching their genetic capacity and that's, park there and being preserved. The tree in the roundabout, I think in a lot of ways could be considered same grove, I mean, for the road was there,
Mhm.
the streets were all connected, I'm sure, so.
Yeah.
Might be kind of a cool way to acknowledge some of that.
And what was that Oregon Travel?
Oregon Travel Information Council, OTS. And I'd be glad to help on a volunteer basis, you know, just provide information. And also try to research a little bit more about this side. I think it'd be kind of cool to understand for some reason why that has never developed or why it is the way it is.
Well, Jackson, let's put that on the agenda for next meeting and see if we can tackle that for.
Return.
There is a nice, descriptive visitor plaque to read right by the covered bridge
Mhm.
about the history of the area and the habitat, so that might have an idea or two. And do you know the exact date of the deadline sometime?
I reached out and it sounds like they'll review them at their quarterly meeting in October, but I didn't get a date. And maybe that's not set yet exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I have, unfortunately. I don't know the exact time, but
Okay,
it also doesn't seem like a extremely stringent situation. Not sure if they get like an overabundance of nominations every year, but I don't have an exact date.
well, I'd be happy to put some energy into checking this out too.
Me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on to board member comments.
I have one, I recall that, at a previous meeting, Paul had asked us to go and look at the new, station. What are we calling it? The West?
Sisters Gateway Park and Mobility Hub.
Perfect, yeah. And just to look at it from our perspective and, share any
Is that
comments.
the east portal?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So that would be another good, addition to the next, next meeting.
I've gone there twice.
Oh, there you go.
Emptied my septic.
You've done it.
Yeah, I've done it.
Just for the sake
Dang
of
on it.
trying it out, yeah,
$20.
yeah,
It's nice, it's good, convenient, nobody there, no line.
nobody's, not yet.
Good.
Yeah. But, yeah, good agenda item for us, an action item for now and agenda item to discuss later.
And we're supposed to go look at the trees.
Yeah, just kind of walk the area and, kind of look at what's changed and what remains. And if there's any comments about, additional thinning of fuels, understory, just anything that stands out for us. Again, not that it's the, end all be all, but I think, it's, just a nice invitation to have people lay eyes on it and, kind of understand these projects and how our respective roles support one another. So,
Would the board like that as an other business topic on the next, agenda?
yeah,
Set some time aside.
Yep.
Okay.
yes,
And I will remember to include the last section of review for the management plan. I
Great.
think we skipped that the last meeting.
yeah,
I
ran
remember.
out of time.
On, Patrick wasn't here, so.
Oh, that's right. It's Patrick's one.
Past all those things, right?
Well, we just would like for you.
Yeah,
We want to make sure to include you.
Thank you.
It's okay.
great.
You have anything to add?
Ross? Yeah, I talked about carbon sequester. Something, that I became acquainted to this summer, or this spring, and there are various, carbon burning companies out there, oil, gas, whatever. And they need offsets for the amount of carbon that they produce.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have trees here. And there are companies that are willing to come in, look at how many trees you have and calculate what kind of payment they could give you as they sell it to somebody else,
Mhm.
to an oil company, to
Mhm.
the electric company, to the highway department, whatever it is. And I mentioned it to Jackson before the meeting, if he looked into that or anybody had talked about it. And it's the way to earn some money for the trees that we have out there. And I don't know if we could calculate our whole town
You can.
and get payment for that, plus our other little pieces of property out here. There's 300, 400 acres. And it could be a couple, $3,000 a year, depending how you decide to take your money.
Sure.
Whether spread it out over 30 years or take a lot now and get less later, but you make a contract with this company and then they set up the deal.
Mhm.
And then they come out and every so often they come through, you're allowed to cut so many trees down a year for firewood. You could trim your trees. So it's just something that we might think about and I could explore it a little bit more if you guys are interested, if the city would be interested or the board. Anyway, it's a few $1,000s. But it's utilizing what carbon absorbing resources we have and it good for the environment.
Mhm.
So, and it could be a PR thing for the
Sure.
community, for Tree City USA.
Absolutely.
Hey, this is what we're doing and we're getting paid for having these trees besides just having them.
Mhm.
I'd sure be interested in learning more.
Okay, well, I'll see what I can come up with. I'll get a hold of my cousin who's doing it in Northern California. And the woman that he deals with is over in the valley somewhere I can't remember what town, Salem, or something like that. And so I can get a hold of her also and see what it takes to have someone come out and survey. They do aerial, they do walkthrough,
Mhm.
so.
I have a little bit, when I worked with, Oregon State Parks, we were offered a tremendous, amount of money on different projects for similar sort of offsetting mitigation. And, that was, I think, the interest waned because of, there's some political ramifications of it in their public resources and sort of, but that's not to say that things might be handled differently at a city level, but it's very enticing and
it
worth
could
learning
pay-
more.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Help pay it away.
strings
We want to
attached.
Keep these trees.
Yeah.
here. We're cutting some down, we're gonna
Mhm.
replant some others, and we can gain
Yeah.
benefits and help our environment.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So yeah, I'd be interested to learn more. It's a different,
I'll see what I can
Type
find
of
out. and,
project, yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole different number of companies that do it,
yeah,
and to find that out,
and
what
third
they
parties
offer,
that
like I
shop
said,
around too.
yeah. we can
between
Shop around and
who needs.
that's
and
those
who
guys' job, will do the shop. Anyway, that's what I had.
Do we want to keep that on other business, or is that more of a FYI and we're gonna follow up on it on our own?
Yeah, we could just put it in our board members' comments, we can put it there.
Other business.
Yeah, feel free to report back on that board member comments at a time for you folks to
Okay,
discuss things.
City Council, Cheryl?
Yeah, just two FYIs for you guys. The Public Works Advisory Board reviewed the final landscaping plans for out here at the roundabout. So there's gonna be some lovely trees added, probably all on ODOT land. I don't know if that's considered public or not, but our lonely Ponderosa there that you guys were just talking about is gonna have some new friends. And if you want to look at those plans, just out of curiosity, just go to the July 8th Public Works Advisory Meeting and the packet is in there. They're going to add some mahogany, larch, ponderosa, aspen, and should be really pretty, really nice.
Nice.
Great.
And then the second FYI is just on Wednesday, our city council meeting. We're going to be looking over 3 conceptual designs for the new Northwest Park, which is between Woodlands development and the other roundabout. That 2.5 acre corner there will be a new park. So more trees, I guess, within your venue here to be watching over as that park is eventually established. Great. And those conceptual designs are in the packet for city council meeting Wednesday if you wanted to look at those.
Okay.
That's all, just FYIs.
Thank you.
It's between the Woodlands development, so it's at Barclay and 20. So that would be the southeast corner, I think,
Across the street from the Best Western.
across the street from,
Best Western. Yeah, that corner.
yeah, across Barclay from
Mhm.
West Western. Yeah.
Well, I don't have anything else to add. So we'll adjourn this meeting at 3:50. Next meeting is October 13th and I should be here.
Do you want to hit the gavel?